Now we can get started with creating our script. To visit the Playwright's homepage, click on the Docs button and visit the documentation's website. Now to do that, we'll need the Playwright's API to actually launch a browser and perform the seed things. But to do that, we need to know about there are two APIs in Playwright, synchronous and asynchronous. The synchronous one works just like any normal Python code. The asynchronous one uses the async and await keywords to control the flow of execution. It's alright if you're not familiar with the same because we'll use the synchronous API to get started. And then we can discuss about the asynchronous one in a future lesson. So let's go ahead and import that in our Python file. From playwright.sync API, that is synchronous API, we'll go ahead and import sync playwright. Now using the sync playwright, we can go ahead and start a new playwright instance and perform our tasks. But to do that, we can either use sync playwright, instantiate it, use start method on the same to start the instance and store it. Or the better one, that is, we can just use the with context manager to start the instance and close it when our block of code finishes, just like opening and closing a file. So with sync playwright as playwright, it will automatically start for us. And now when we finish our block of code, it will close it as well for us. So the first step is to launch a browser. And to do that, we can just use the Playwright instance that we just created. And on that, we need to first of all select the WebDriver, which we installed in the installation lesson. So we have the Chromium driver, the Firefox driver, and the WebKit driver. For this one, we use Chromium. On the same, we can just use the launch method to launch a new instance of the Chromium browser. So let's go ahead and store it in a browser variable. Now using this newly launched browser, we can go ahead and create a new page or a new tab. And to do that, we can just use the browser dot new underscore page method. Now using this, we'll just launch a new page and let's store that in a page variable. And now we need to visit the Playwright website. To do that, we'll use the page which we just created. And on that, we can use the goTo method. The goTo method takes in the URL, which is a string. So the URL of the Playwright's website is https:// which is just the prefix of any URL address. And now the actual playwright.dev/python. So that's the initial website which we want to visit. That is the Playwright's web page. Now we have done the first step of creating a browser and visiting the Playwright's home page. Now before running the script and actually see what happens, after we have done all of this, we need to close our browser as well. So just like our browsers have the close icon at the top right corner, we need to use the browser.close method after our tasks or actions. So let's go ahead and run our script, that is python app.py or whatever you have named your Python file. Hit enter and then you will see that the execution is happening because the cursor is paused here, and then after a while it is done. Well, we didn't get to see anything, so let's go ahead and change the headless mode so that we can see what's happening as well. That is, when we launch a browser using the launch method, we can set whether or not to show the graphical user interface of the browser. So we can set that using the headless keyword argument and setting that as false. By default, it is true. That means like it will be headless. That is, these actions will happen in the background and you will not see the user interface. But because we are debugging this script, that is creating it, so we'll set it as false. Now if we go ahead and run the script, you will see the page pops up and instantly closes as well. Because what we're doing here is just opening a page, visiting the website, and then closing it right after. So if we want to have the browser stay on for a more while, then what we need to do is set another argument that is called slow-mo. And what it does is just slows our execution time by the number we have specified here. So let's say if I say slow the execution by 500 times. Now we'll be able to see the page lingering for a bit more. So if I hit enter, you can see the page loads and then closes itself. You can go ahead and set this whatever you would like or leave it be as well. But I'll keep it at 500 because we want to see what we're doing. So the first step is done. That is, we have visited the Playwright's website. In the next lesson, let's go ahead and click on that docs button and visit the documentation's website.